You probably could see my dog playing with himself in the background. He's literally throwing a bone in the air. Do you see him? He's just rolling around. I'm so sorry. I know he's such a goofball, so I'll leave it there so you can watch him. He's ridiculous. My name is Chrissy Joy, and I am a professional dog trainer. I have been training dogs for about 6 years now, since I got my first dog, and when he was just a puppy. He's 6 now. Before I ever worked dogs, I actually worked with horses, and my degree is equine studies with a focus in business. So it's almost like a business degree and horse training and horse care and riding and competing degree. So I've always had a passion for working with animals, but I've been working with horses and dogs collectively for probably over 20 years at this point. Oh, sure. So I loved training animals. That was always my passion. When I was younger, I had a lot of anxiety as a child and some depression. But like one thing that always got me out of my kind of own way or gave me a lot of confidence was working with animals. So I started working with horses as a young child, and I rode and took lessons all the way up to owning my own horse. And then when I went to college, it's because I wanted to further my passion with working with animals. And at the time, it was horses, with the hopes that I could find a lifelong career working with horses in some capacity, or transferring that over into the business world, which is why I also had a business degree tied to the horses. Because just to be honest, it's good to have like another plan, because may not always work that you get to do the career that you hope you get to do. So I wanted to also have a major with business as well, so that I had a flexibility in case I wanted to branch out further. So I transferred over to dog training after we kind of had a recession here in 2009. So it was really hard to keep up with a job with, working with horses. It was very expensive. So I transferred over to dogs after a few years. And my favorite part about it, I would have to say at this point, is the problem solving. We do a lot of TV and film now. My dogs have been in several commercials and movies. We were on America's Got Talent earlier this year. We're filming a movie in just a week with a really famous actress. And so we do a lot of amazing things now that I never would have dreamed that we would be doing. And when I started to get a dog in my life, but I would say my most favorite thing besides all that, it's really not about being a part of a movie or a commercial. It's really, when you're there, it's about the fact that you have such a bond with your animal, and you're problem solving every step of the way. So we'll get a job and we'll go on set, and we'll have a certain action we need to do. And then we have to problem solve right there on set as to how we can best get this done with our dog. And also, it's a testament to how much your dog loves and trusts you that you can do the job, because a lot of dogs, you throw them into a new place like that and it can be very stressful. So I think my favorite part is just having that bond with my animal, and also being able to problem solve challenging situations that make me really enjoy being a trainer. We did do a movie not too long ago with Leonardo DiCaprio, which I'm allowed to say. That movie was filming around DC, and it will be out. I think it's out this year on Netflix, and the movie's called Don't Look Up. And it's a comedy. If you look up that movie, there's like 20 A-list actors in that movie. It's really going to be fun. We were able to have a small dog role within that film. So there's some pretty cool things that kind of come together once we put the hard work forward. The hardest part is exactly what I went through today when I kind of got on here and I went, oh, such a busy day. Travel. I travel a lot. and traveling a lot during COVID is not easy. Lots of COVID tests. I'm vaccinated, but lots of COVID tests. I travel a lot. So like just yesterday, I got home super late at night. I was spending 3 days in New York and a day in Long Island and a day in New Jersey. Next week, I go to New York again, then I go to Connecticut. I'm all over the place. So that is hard. And it's hard if you have a family. So there has to be lots of juggling. So there's lots of juggling with our family to make sure that everyone's taken care of and that we're doing the right thing for the animals and the family. And then of course, taking care of yourself. So travel's a huge part of it. The other part is it's very much a hurry up and wait atmosphere, similar to what people would say with the military. You will be sitting here quietly and then suddenly you get a phone call and they need a dog on set tomorrow. And, if this is your career, you'll do what as long as the pay is worth it, you'll do what it takes to be there and to make that happen. You probably could see my dog playing with himself in the background. He's literally throwing a bone in the air. Do you see him? He's just rolling around. I'm so sorry. I know he's such a goofball, so I'll leave it there so you can watch him. He's ridiculous. But yeah, so travel is difficult, and the fact that you have to make decisions very quickly. And I'll submit my dog for a job, and it'll be next Thursday, and I might find out on Tuesday that my dog's needed in New York City. And by the way, you have to go to an urgent care center and get a COVID test. Like it gets very, very chaotic. You have to be comfortable with flexibility and changing your schedule. So one of the things that I've learned is, sorry, honey, hand it, come here. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Come here, hand it. Hand me your toy, come on, hand it. Thank you. Not right now. Go find another toy. Go find another toy. Okay, so squeak that and just ruin all the audio. Other challenges. Well, you can decide to keep this or not. It's up to you guys. But one thing I had to learn was really learning about who your true friends are and learning about people who truly support you and the people who are with you through thick and thin. When your life gets pretty crazy. So you start to learn the people who accept you and understand. And then you start to learn the people who maybe have some issues with that or other qualities that make them not a great friend. So because my life is challenging, that can make it very challenging to have a lot of friends and a lot of social gatherings. It doesn't really happen. So finding your true friends was really a challenge, but I've learned so much and I'm so grateful for those lessons. And I think that happens with anyone who's going for their dream in a career. Other challenges are making sure your dogs are healthy. So when you travel, there's always a risk that a dog is going to get sick. And if your dog is chosen for a commercial and they're sick, there's always a risk. So packing the right food and making sure they're exercised properly and being ready in case there is an emergency. When we did America's Got Talent, we drove from Maryland to California. We drove the entire way. And Whidbey and Darby got sick along the way. We don't know where, we don't know how. They probably picked up bacteria at one of the many stops we had to make, probably picked it up from the ground, but we had to take them to a vet and get them treated. And there can be a lot of stress traveling with animals. So I would say it's about, for me, something that, having a dream of the job I'm doing now, but also it's so much more than that. It's about inspiring other people to follow their passions. Your friendships, your social, your Facebook, you have tons of friends, but who are really your close friends, you really find out who those people are. And also, you are not only responsible for yourself on these adventures, you're very much responsible for the health and well-being of the animals too. Absolutely. Some of the attributes that you need to be successful in this field is, one thing is, I'm a dog trainer first and foremost. So having a knowledge about dogs and having maybe on the job training. So I'm very grateful for my college degree because a lot of the horse stuff and the learning for the animal world, just focusing on horses, it has transferred over into the world I am in today, which includes business management. I'm running a business. So, I'm not only getting my dogs on set, but I get other people's dogs on set too. So, yeah, having good organization, communication skills, um, definitely being a dog trainer and having those animal skills is important. There really is no um, like licensed dog trainer certificate. There are groups that can certify you as a dog trainer, but like to the state of Maryland, there's no like you are a dog trainer, like they would do for like a vet tech. um so there's a lot of leeway in how people become dog trainers. It's either you learned on the job or you did an online school. There's lots of variations to getting that job. But if you want to be a dog trainer, I always suggest that you get involved by like interning at a facility and getting your hands on working with dogs, because as much as you can learn from a book, I think it's great because learning about like dog behavior, you may not understand what it means when a dog does A, B, and C, where I can understand, oh, the dog is showing these signs. So education through book is important, but then again, like getting out there and getting your hands on learning is going to be 100% what you need to even start dog training. And then when it comes to set work and everything from there, I was an actress for some time on TV. So I was a SAG actress. If you don't know what SAG is, it's the Screen Actors Guild. Like every year they do like an award ceremony on TV. And so I learned a lot of my production skills by doing exactly what you guys have at school, your news program in the morning. Okay, so some schools have like you sit in class or homeroom, and then there's like a little news program on, and it's like your fellow friends that are like in school, and they go on and they talk about news. I started there and I fell in love with production. I did theater. I loved all that stuff. But it really helped me learn like how production works, was just getting involved and getting my hands on. And now I'm able to marry both worlds of working with TV and film and working with animals, and now having enough on the job training and experience to bring it both together. Sure, that's a great question. So I to continue the timeline, and I apologize to whoever has to put this project together because the timeline's all over the place. So I went to college for horses. I graduated in 3 years. I was supposed to graduate in 4. I pushed and I graduated in 3 years. And I took that extra year and I said, I'm going to try acting. My parents were like, what? I was like, I'm going to New York, mom and dad. So I went and I did acting for a year in New York City. Really worked my butt off, but it's something I wanted to try. And I was kind of a year ahead of my graduates, like my other graduate friends. So I was like, let me try it. Turned out that I ended up moving to Kentucky, where I did acting and horses, because Kentucky's big for horses. So I was like acting and then working with horses. So it was like a really cool thing to do together. Then what happened is I left Kentucky and I ended up moving kind of to a few places, but I ended up in Maryland and I worked for Discovery Channel. And then Discovery Channel was really rough. I loved the job, but it was a 2-hour commute each way. So that was rough. Right? 2 hours away from your family in the morning. And it took 2 hours to get home just to wake up again in the morning and do it again. It was really like very exhausting. I did not have any dogs at this time. So they moved, the building from Discovery moved to New York, and they said, hey, you either move to New York with us or you find another job. And I said, well, I'll definitely find another job because I wasn't moving to New York City. My husband is here in Maryland with me, and we have one daughter, and he works at the military base down here. So that was another reason why we couldn't move. And then to end that, I left Discovery and I got Beasley. So Beasley was like my huge game changer into being like, you know what, man, I really miss working with animals. Got a dog, started working with animals again. I had my daughter, Elowen, when Beasley was 2. Yeah, Beasley must have been 2. I had not been working on set yet with my dog. So Beasley and I were just training and loving training and trick training and just enjoying that. My husband and I love to hike. And then I had Elowen. And at the time I was working part-time at a veterinary hospital right in the area. And, but I still had this dream of like missing working with production. I just missed it. It was like, I couldn't have best of both worlds. I was always missing one or the other. Does that make sense? And so what I did is once Ellen was born and I went back to working part-time as a veterinary hospital, at a veterinary hospital. Soon after that, there was a casting call for a dog not far from here. I think it was in Baltimore even. And I was like, oh, Beasley would be perfect for this. And I was like, oh, how cool. Like maybe this is our chance. And he got the job. It was a very small commercial, but it kind of started to open the door because he did so well and he's very smart. And then soon after that, we got another commercial. And this time it was down in Florida and it was for Chewy. I don't know if you ever remember the big blue Chewy commercial where Beasley like walks through and puts his paw in a box and sits next to a lady. It's all on YouTube. And then the calls just started to come in because people were realizing like, wow, you have a really good dog and you made it really easy on set because you already know how set works. So it was like, they were like, you're such an asset because we send other dog trainers and their dogs might be great, but they don't understand set lingo. They don't understand what it means to cast a shadow when you're trying to like tell the dog to do something. You know, I knew all that because I worked on set before. So all of a sudden it was like this explosion of opportunity. I worked like Puppy Bowl that year. Like we started doing a bunch of different jobs. Disney that year, like it really took off. I'm very lucky that with my family, my husband is super supportive, which is great. And of course, you go, well, you have a newborn, you have a daughter. Like, how are you doing this? I'm very, very blessed to have a wonderful family that are able to step in and watch Elowen. And also, I have a friend who runs a daycare, so she like lives like a couple couple miles away, and she runs a daycare within her home. But she's also like a family to us. So for Elowen, it's like going to another family. It's like going to your aunt's house. You know what I mean? It's just like you don't even think twice about it. And so whenever I have to travel between my different areas of family, my parents, my husband's mom, we're able to make sure Elowen is cared for and that she's thriving and that everyone is safe and where they need to be so that I can pursue this career. Now I'll be honest, there are times that I have to say no to jobs because it's just too much. I'm gone too much. It's too much strain on the family. You know, you have to make those decisions and decide what jobs are worth taking and what jobs are where you're really not putting your family first, which should be your priority. If you're not including travel, like if we're not including schedule, I would say training affects, training because I have to spend time training the dogs to do things. So that's time I'm taking to do that. And also, not just training, but I would say the amount of texts and voicemails and phone calls I get are huge. Let me give you an example. Right now, I have 320 text messages. I have 21 phone calls. And I have over 1,200 emails, which like, I guess everybody has a lot of emails because no one deletes their junk. But the 320 text messages are a little overwhelming. So I never feel like I have enough time. And that includes like 7 Facebook messages and who knows what else. That does take a lot of my time because one thing what I try to do is it's not just all business. I try to, if someone asks me a question about dog training to help them, I try to, if someone, I deal with anxiety and depression. So some people reach out to me. I always want to try to make time for that. But I'm only one person and I have a family. And so that can be very, very challenging when I'm trying to kind of do it all. It puts me at the very bottom of the priority list. And then, that's when you run into migraines or you get sick or, things like that.
How does your career affect your faith life?
I'm sorry, can you say it again? And it says we have less than 10 minutes left. I hope you guys are good. Okay. Okay, say that.
But how does your career affect your faith life?
That's a great question. So it does. And I'll just be very honest. My weekends are slammed. Sometimes I'm traveling, like this Sunday, I have to leave and I have to get on the road again. But one thing I do that's really cool is that now with technology, you have so many things at your fingertips. Whether it's like YouTube videos about prayer, or it's about mental health or things like that, you can always educate yourself on the road, which is really cool. My husband does it a lot too. Like he works on a lot of house projects. So he's always listening to something that's going to help like inspire him and have a deeper relationship with God. And so, I think it's one of those things that you guys can all agree. It's like for me, it's like the thing you always say, like, oh, I'll start working out tomorrow, right? You're always like, I'll start tomorrow. But if you really want it, you'll start now. And so that's something that I think you will make time for. And it's not just like, oh, well, we're just not home, so it doesn't happen. It's something that you can find in today's world, whether it's an app or a YouTube video or anything like that. Aside from just the technology side, your morals and who you are as a person needs to carry through in your friendships, needs to carry through in your family, needs to carry through in your business relationships. Like, I'm huge about being honest. I'm huge about if there's a problem, let's talk. I'm huge about integrity. And that doesn't waver between the people I choose to be in my life as friends, my family, and my business relationships. And I think that, you know, like, and God has a plan. Like some projects fall apart, some things fall apart, relationships fall apart, but it's like all a part of this plan. And I think if you like, I just recently this year, I've really learned that. We're on America's Got Talent, and it was like the judges were really rough in some moments. And like, if you have any kind of self-esteem issues, it can really be hard to hear that. But I think like everything happened for a reason. And then you kind of sit back and you go like, it's okay if things don't work out. It's okay if things don't go the way you planned, because something greater is meant to happen. And then you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, it is meant to happen. Like, look at the doors that have opened now, because you just sat back and said, okay, I'm just gonna have faith that everything is meant to be the way it is. But I'm going to continue to be a good person, because that's like the fuel to that fire, is that you have to morally be a good person with sound decisions and doing things that you can, when you go to bed, you can sleep well rested, knowing like I was honest, and I was true and I was a good person. And, that kind of thing is really huge. And so I think if you're talking about faith, it's about your actions as a human being to other people and your work, and your family. And also, you don't have, going to church every Sunday would be ideal, but for our work, it sometimes isn't. But there's so many things you can do today with your phone alone that can keep you kind of on track. Yes, I do. So if you were like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I would say, great, that's awesome. Get involved in a local dog training facility that focuses on positive reinforcement. So this is the type of facility that isn't going to use harsh correction, but uses like treats and toys to train the dog. It's positive based. BFF Pet Services is right in our area. We have an internship program and we have lots of cool events. So I suggest you could come in and learn, and get your hands on for dog training. If you were interested in set production, that's a whole other realm of learning, TV, video, film, etc. I would say get involved in like, you can do some online courses if you're homeschooled, but I would say get your hands on a camera and just start learning and filming things. Or if you are at like a public school or anything like that, you may have some TV classes, or they might do that little TV program morning, and get involved. Like, say, hey, how can I learn how the computer works, how that turns on the TV and makes the things happen. There's ways to get involved. And I end that with, always reach out. Like, I'm here. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can email me. Like I say, give me a couple days, but I will get back if you're like, hey, I want to do more in this field. How could I get involved? I'll always try to point someone in the right direction. And the last thing is, I don't know how related this is, but my last thing there is, there's enough work for everyone. There's enough room for success for everyone. So I'm really big on helping other people. Here's the contact, take the name, try this, try that. Like, I refuse to be like, well, this is my trade secret, I'm not going to share, because like, there's plenty of work for everyone and everyone's on their own path. So like, I think the more you share and the more you're out there to help people, the better. That's a great question. It definitely helps me stay fit. So it's definitely a two-way street. But I hike my dogs daily if I can. Like today, we'll hike maybe just like a couple miles, like not super, super far. Like 3 miles would be pretty far because you have to remember just because we walked 3 miles, they legit ran like 7 because they're off leash and they're running around doing their thing and being crazy. But it's so important that they get time to be a dog, not in the crate, not in the van, not on set, not doing this and that in front of me, but they're just out there and they're just being a dog. And that builds a lot of endurance and stamina to let them run those miles and go through different terrain and just have fun. And that's important to me. But when it comes to actually like training behaviors, people always think that I spend like hours a day, but really, to be very honest, maybe 10-minute sessions a few times a day at most. Dogs learn much better in smaller chunks of learning. So it would be like you having a test tomorrow and you didn't study at all, but you're really hoping to do well, but you just slipped it. And so you're going to try to cram. But if you think about cramming, like you're quickly remembering the information and you might do well, but you're not gonna remember it long term. Like once it's over, you're done, moving on, right? Like, you might not long term remember all that information. That's the same for dogs. It's much better to do small pieces and then they really can absorb the learning. So you have a behavior that lasts a long time. Versus trying to quickly cram a behavior and then get it done. Most of the time, it's too much stress put on them and they won't get it done. So it's much better that I do like short and sweet sessions for their learning. So you'll never see me work a dog like a full hour on a new trick. It's just too much. It is not lucrative. So being an actress was exciting. And I did a lot of commercials and TV shows like Ugly Betty, 30 Rock, Damages, Gossip Girl, lots of different TV shows, super fun. It's a very difficult industry. So there's a lot of competition. And when you're in your 20s, sometimes they want you to look a certain way, act a certain way, and they want to really conform you to be the type of person that would get hired a lot. So it's kind of hard on people. It's hard on people to say, dye your hair, cut your hair, or lose 10 pounds or whatever it is, So for me and my history of anxiety, it was not a good match for me to be in a situation where they wanted me to change and be, and then the stress of auditioning to make money and then not get the audition. And then it's very, very hard. Another thing with that is, at the time, there was no like, hey, submit me a video. It was mostly like, we want to see you in person for this audition. And that was really tough because you can't have a regular job. You can't go work at your local restaurant or whatever, unless you're working at night, because they would call you and be like, hey, Tuesday, I need you there at 2 o'clock. And you go, oh, I have a shift. Like they expect you to be there. So it required me to do a job, like work night jobs. And that was really tough on me to work all night. And then during the day, run to auditions. And it was just very straining and it was not lucrative in a sense of making money. So, and I think another part of that was, although I really enjoyed the production, like working with animals was always my passion. I just didn't know how to get both worlds to come together. So that's where I really was like, I'm doing this and I'm successful and getting jobs as an actress, but it's just not, I'm not as passionate about this and I knew it. And so I started to then sway back towards being involved with animals again. And actually I worked for Discovery Channel for a while because in Silver Spring when they were there, Maryland, because I was like, oh, Discovery Channel, because they like, you have Animal Planet and all that stuff. I was like, that's a way maybe I can be in production and sort of in the animal world again. And so I did that for a little while. And then I adopted my first dog, Beasley, to kind of give you a timeline. So I'll be very honest. I hope like we can be super honest here. one thing that, like, as an actress, I would not do any job at all with a hint of like, let's say extreme, like no nudity, obviously, right? I hope that's okay to say, but I'm just being honest. Nothing like that. I mean, that's like you're getting murdered scene or something ridiculous. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, you no. Um, I would read the script and see like how the character is treated, and if it put me in a weird place or didn't make me feel right, you know. Um, but I didn't get too many of those. I was lucky. In the dog world, we're pretty lucky. They just want the dog to be really cute. So we don't have too many problems there. But I will say there are some things that I morally am like, I don't know. Like they might want to shed a pit bull in a bad light. You know, like we want the pit bull to attack the human. Well, I don't really know if I want to put a pit bull in a position where it's just showing the world that pit bulls are bad dogs. Does that make sense? Like you're stereotyping them on purpose for a show. So there's things I've been like, you know, but it goes back to the same thing. If my moral compass is right, and then my gut will kick in and be like, nah, I don't feel good about this. Right. And then that will be enough for me to be like, I don't think I want to do this. You know, and so there's been moments where I've met people in the industry that I've been like, nah, my gut doesn't sit quite right, kind of a weird person, or like, I don't think you have my best intentions. And my gut speaks, which is probably not my gut. It's probably God saying like, hey, red flag. And that's enough for me to be like, not worth my time. Like, trust your gut, trust your instinct there. And it really isn't. I don't care how much that check says. Like, if something's not sitting right, it's probably not worth your time. So, yeah, you do have to make a lot of smart decisions in this industry and make sure you are first and foremost protecting yourself and protecting and advocating for your dog. So, I know we're running out of time, but if the dog is unsafe in any way, I will be the first person to stand up and be like, the dog is not doing that on set. That is not safe. It's not happening. And so, because I can never sit well with myself knowing I put an animal in danger or put my animal in a situation where they could have gotten hurt and I just got lucky. You know, that's something that's huge for me as well. So I think that all ties into the morals that you kind of learn from having faith with God.